have some several class of road. Yeah. So based on this condition, maybe like this one, yeah, for the categories. So if we follow the previous one, I think this is I'm not quite sure, yeah, because the rank is very 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 high, yeah, from 10 until 36, something like that, yeah. Yeah, so how to implement in actual one? Because if you look this one from 5 to 10, 10 to 24, something like that, yeah. Yeah. Why we need to follow the government regulation regarding the truck category, something like that, yeah.
Excuse me, Pak Abdul Rohim.
Iya Pak, silakan
This is
Pak.
Sugi speaking, Pak. Came
Oke.
from Aprindo. Yeah, actually the categorize that divided by Ellison actually depend on our information that we are simplify, Pak, in
Hmm.
many categories. Actually, have include in these five categories. In the below one, category five is actually they are using for mining, Pak,
Hmm.
like DT and anything and above. And category 4 is using for trailer, containers.
Ya, understand
There
Pak.
is for also EV, but on road situation, on road condition. And category 3 is majority for like Tronton, as you know, like Hino, Isuzu, they have Mercedes, Quester, also in this segment. Category 2 is Hino, also Mitsubishi, Isuzu, then some of another small manufacturer or small ATPM. But mostly the market leader is came from these three brand, Pak. Hino, Mitsubishi, Isuzu in category 2. And category 1 is a special like Grand Max, Blind Fan. There is many type here. They have like from Daihatsu, Suzuki, also Wuling. We have put in five categories is can be summarized actually from many categories that government using and also Aprindo, also Organda, Kamselindo. We would like to make like a simplify like that, Pak Abdul Rahim, that I explained to you with this material presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay, Pak Suki, thank you, Pak. Yeah, but please remember, Pak, the why our government make some categorize. This is related with the road condition, yeah, road class, yeah. Yeah, if I please correction if I'm wrong, yeah. So because this is, I believe this is for the fuel economy regulation also will be maybe will be correlated also with another regulation, yeah, in Indonesia. If we want to make some continue, yeah, for some give incentive on some type, give some restriction or something like that, yeah, for the fuel economy regulation, something like that, yeah.
Yes,
So I believe
absolutely
why we
right, Pak
not,
Abdul Rahim.
yeah,
Yes,
why we
Pak.
not to follow the regulation, yeah, because
Yeah.
if we make the new category, this is maybe some confusing. Yeah, that's my suggestion. Yeah, I believe the category of 5. Yeah, this is regarding the mining. So this is maybe not regulated. Yeah, for the like jalan. Yeah, for the like transport, something like that. Yeah, because this is not regulated with land transport Directorate General, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, so if better, yeah, this is my suggestion. We follow the regulation. So because if we make the new categories and then some data take with these categories, maybe become confused or become some different interpretations, something like that. Yeah. So for example, for category 10, 24, yeah, And then 1036, which route they should be can allow in Indonesia, something like that. This is in highway, in the national road, something like that, on the public road, So this is also should be some consideration like this, Pak Suki. That's my suggestion.
Thank you, Pak Abdul. I can see Ian's got his hand up, so I'll let him come in, but I feel he might come in with a question. So Ian, please do come in.
Yeah.
Yes, no, that was very interesting. Thank you. So, it would be very good if you could send us the standards that have been agreed, that the government has set. That would be very good. And I agree with you. It would make sense to have that as the basis. But then, if other organisations use slightly different categories, we can use the government categories to then map the categories that other organisations use to see. To help inform the work. So yes, I mean, if you could supply us with those, that would be really, really helpful. Thank you.
Excuse me, Ian, Ellison. So Pak tadi Pak Rohim from Gaikindo. I think what he mentioned is about the class road, isn't it, Pak Rohim
Pak, betul Pak.
Class road, we have 3 class roads, but it's not in regarding of truck category, because the class road, we have 3 class road. The main road is class 1 road. Class 1 road is national road. Class 2 road is provincial road, and then class 3 road is region or city or region road. So actually, any truck within the same category, let's say category 3, the GVW, the MST, the MST is the maximum axle capacity. The maximum axle capacity is different from class 1 road, class 2 road, or class 3 road. But it's not a truck category, Pak Rohim.
Pak, correct, Pak. But in class 3, they have some several categories, Pak, A, B, C, something like that, Pak.
So it's in Direktorat Sarana,
Yeah, Pak. So please consider about this class, my suggestion only why we make the new categories again, Pak. Why we not follow the government government categories? I think because this is related with the regulation in the target, for the fuel economy. This is also with some regulation in Indonesian government, something that if implemented, Pak, with even a different ministry, this is Minister of Energy or something like that. But if the better, if we can synchronize, we not make some new category again, Pak. That's my comment, Pak.
Yep, I think the friend from Direktorat Sarana Angkutan Jalan can explain further about their category in their database, But this category actually made with our experience, because for category 2 normally is called diesel type. Category 3 is it's depend on the engine size. Category 3, category 4, and category 5. Because as we know, category 4 and 5 normally for mining application, the engine power is above 360 horsepower, and for category 5 is above 420 horsepower, around 460 horsepower and above. But I think if the government have their own category set, I think that's the better reference to use. I think I'm agree, Pak Rohim. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak.
Again, thank you both. Again, Ian, would you like to come in?
Yes, just to clarify. So yeah, thank you for so there are 3 classes of roads, and I mean the 5 categories of vehicle we've got on the slide, are they standard in Indonesia? Are they used by all stakeholders? Is this a recognizable categorization for trucks?
That's commonly used category.
It is. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if the government have different category. So I think we better ask the MOT, Ministry of
Okay.
Transport. Yeah.
And is there a Ministry of Transport stakeholder in the room who would like to come in at this point? I don't know if it's an opportunity for you to comment.
Bapak Ibu sekalian, apakah ada perwakilan dari Direktorat Sarana Transportasi Jalan? Jika ada, apakah bisa menanggapi diskusi tadi? I think they didn't join our meeting, so I can follow up with them later.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Eddie. And so I think we might loop round. So some of these questions I think are related to some of the discussion we've just had, but I don't know if Guy Kindo, is there any further information on why these groupings are used? Can we assume, all, because we've got we've got the long list of Gaikindo information where you have the detailed informations and makes and models, and the GVW. Can we assume that all vehicles that weigh more than 36 tons are kind of automatically category 4 or 5? Can we assume that all vehicles, therefore, that are in 10 to 24 tons and over 24 tons, but under 36 tons, would fall into category 3? So I think this is kind of coming back to some of the questions we've just had, some of the discussion we've had, but from a slightly different angle. But I also see that Pakedi's got his hand up. So Pakedi, maybe if we go to you and then we can move back.
Yes, Eddie speaking from Gaikindo.
Oh, hi, Pakedi.
I would like to give a comment about this category. Actually, in Indonesia, Ministry of Transport, they are harmonize this category with UN regulation. Yeah, the category for commercial is first less than 3.5. The second category is 3.5 until 12 ton, and the third one is over 12 ton. That is based on regulation. So it's depend on the necessity. I think how we can utilize this category. Concern from Pak Rohim is related to the regulation. So the regulation mentioned like that. Below 3.5, 3.5 until 12, and then 12.5 and 12.5 and 12 until 12 and over 12. That's the regulation, and harmonize with UN regulation.
Thank you, Pakedi. Ian, would you like to come in?
Yes, thank you for that clarification. That's useful. I think, I think the key thing that we're trying to identify here is how best to map and categorize trucks in the Indonesian context for the Indonesian market. And I think, just as an example, when the EU regulated trucks for the first time, they focused on those larger than 16 tons, because those were where 70% of the emissions came from EU trucks. So it's good to have it's good to know that the Indonesian approach adopts, has followed the UN approach in terms of categorizing trucks. But if other stakeholders use different categorizations, I guess what's important for us is to be able to map all this information so that we use it correctly. But then the other point would be that just don't necessarily have to, whichever category Indonesia focuses on in the first instance doesn't necessarily have to be aligned to any international standard or any particular standard. It just needs to be recognized and relevant for stakeholders in the country, I think. So I think, so yeah, that's what we're trying to understand here. So thank you for that information. Yes, I think that's, yeah.
Thank you, Zin. Takiti, would you be able to come in, and if not today, if it's a too technical question, and you know, if we were to put, just for simplicity's sake at this stage, the Gaikindo data in the categories, are we right in thinking that basically anything over 36 tons in Gaikindo sales data is category 4 and 5? Which is quite a simple statement, but you know, is that how, if you were looking at Gaikindo data and saying, actually, if we had to put this in these 5 categories, and this is just really a check, this is again this discussion, it doesn't mean we would do this, but it's just getting our heads around the comparability. Is it as simple as saying Gaikindo data that's over 36 tons, you know, is effectively mining or construction trucks?
Yeah, I'll try to take a look to the Gaikindo database. Yeah, if refer to the Gaikindo database, they are the categorized is refer to this material, yeah, below 5 ton, 5 until 10, 10 to 24, and 24 over 24. There are 4 category. So I think I agree with Ian, yeah. I think it's depend on the purpose, yeah, for the categorization. So there are some categorization. Ministry of Transport, they have their own categorization, and then for the road purpose, there is their own categorization. And this categorization seems same with the Gaikindo. Yes, Gaikindo data is like this. Below 5 tons, 5 until 10, 10 to 24, and over 24 tons. So later on, if for this market situation, for example, market sale and etc., I think Gaikindo can provide this data, yeah, based on this category. Yeah.
So you'd be able to get back to us and sort of confirm that basically everything over 36 tons in the Gaikindo sales data is effectively mining or construction. Okay, we can follow up with this in an email, I think, after this. Oh, Pak Andy.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Maybe I would like to support my colleague Pak Edi. So regarding for this categorize,
Pak Andy, we can't quite hear you. We can't hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think my laptop is not so good connection. This is my staff laptop. So for this categorize, this is for the sales matter. 5 ton, 5 to 10. This is regarding the categorize for the sales matter. So for the testing matters that Pak Edi said we refer to UN are categorized below 3.5 and then 3.5 until 12 and then above 12. However, regarding your slide before, I don't know, 2 or 3, you said that Gaikindo is very little information give to the I don't know, IEA or Ministry of Energy. It's not like that condition. The condition is we are have fuel economy for engine testing, and like Rohim Sang said before that if the you want to know regarding the actual condition for the fuel consumption in vehicle, it's many consideration about road, about load, and then about the kind of the body, and then regarding the road condition. Yeah, it's very complex for the calculation. That's why we have to propose to you how about if we are conduct some joint tests for now to know the actual data, or we can get some data and then we can summarize and we can agree that data as the fuel consumption on one vehicle categorized. Is that I don't know, is that CAM implementation or not? Thank you.
I'll let I think we move into step 2, and I think the kind of measurement and the testing procedures, and I really get your point that actually the real world testing, the complexity of that, and but I think for step 1 we're kind of, you know, the vehicles in use. Pak Ian, I don't know if you want to come in at this point, that whether or not we feel that we're moving to step 2 and we finish step 1 and then go into a more detailed conversation of step 2. But we're really grateful for your kind of understanding of these data needs. Ian, I don't know if you want to come in.
Yes. Yes, I will. Yes, you're right, Alison. I think that is more of a step 2, you know, what we want to talk about in step 2. However, yes, I mean, from my perspective, the more data that's available on real truck emissions, the better. And so, yeah, I mean, so yeah, I think yeah, so the more information we have, the better. So yeah, that is definitely a step 2 question, but thank you for that. That's very something that we could explore.
Yeah, and we will follow up, I think, in a couple of minutes when we get to step 2 as well. I mean, just going back to this last question about whether or not, you know, is it as simple as, again, this may be something that we follow up separately, but is it as simple as in the Gaikindo data, trucks over 36 tons are effectively mining construction trucks? And it's fine if that needs to be a separate kind of follow-on conversation. Just don't know if people can kind of come in. I think I'll follow on separately. And then, so, you know, we've talked about the categories, and I think, you know, some of this has kind of already been touched upon. You know, is there a way that category 3 data, and Antrin and Kamsinder, please come in here as well, is there a way that can be subdivided in a standardized way? And I think from our conversations previously, this was a category that was kind of particularly complex, but, you know, would be potentially quite a high fuel consumer. And then we come up with some sort of several ideas here. You know, could weight be subcategories? Is there any like rural urban split that could be taken into account? Is the way that trucks are used more broadly be taken into account? And we also really appreciate that how the truck is configured, role of the chassis, the role of the tractor, you know, all makes a big difference. And again, any insights here? And I can see Ian's got his hand up, so I invite him to come in.
Yes, thanks, Alison. Yes, I mean, just the point I'd like just to emphasize really, as Alison said, from our understanding, category 3 is the category of vehicle that is most customized, and therefore where the emissions will vary in terms of how the truck has been constructed by the bodybuilder. So in other jurisdictions around the world, when they've regulated truck emissions or truck CO2 emissions or fuel economy, they try and split the category to develop subcategories effectively. So I think the EU, for example, has 18 categories over its whole truck range. So some of these use weight as a means of subdividing categories. Sometimes it's number of axles and weight. Other times it's the way the truck is used is also taken into account. So a certain type of truck is mainly used in urban areas, or a certain type of truck is mainly used on national roads. So this is the sort of thinking here. Is there a way within category 3 that makes sense to break this category down in more detail to identify subcategories within this? Is there any sort of characteristics in the Indonesian market that would make sense in this respect?
Mungkin dari Gaikindo, apakah ada yang bisa memberikan komentar? Jadi kan dari beberapa kategori truk tadi dari 5 sampai 10, 10 sampai 20 sampai 24 ton dan di atas 24 ton. Apakah dari tiap-tiap kategori tadi itu ada subkategori lain yang bisa kita buat atau memang sudah dibuat oleh Gaikindo mungkin atau Aptrindo maupun Kamselindo? Misalnya tadi seperti yang sampaikan, bisa saja berdasarkan jumlah axle-nya atau bagaimana truk itu digunakan berdasarkan kategori jalan. Seperti itu. Apakah ada yang bisa menanggapi?
Dari saya Mbak Evi ya, izin dari saya. Kalau mau menggunakan kategorinya dari khususnya dari Dirjen Sarana atau Dirjen Rancang Bangun atau Direk Rancang Bangun di Dirjen Perhubungan Darat, ya kita tinggal copy pastekan saja. Itu kalau bicara ada satuannya satu-satu, semuanya tinggal ngikutin saja. Karena itu memang sudah ada kategorinya. Jadi sebenarnya tidak perlu diperdebatkan, tinggal mengikuti saja, copy paste dari sana, disesuaikan. Karena kalau yang dibuat atau yang dipresentasikan ini sebenarnya summarize. Jadi ada satu kondisi, di mana satu kondisi adalah follow regulation, itu satu sisi Mbak Evi. Satu sisi tadi yang saya sampaikan, Pak Kiat sampaikan adalah berdasarkan apa namanya practice using gitu loh, atau practical atau common practice yang memang ada di lapangan. Begitu. Jadi kalau kita bicara kategori-kategorinya semuanya sama ya gitu, tinggal diikutkan saja. Jadi ada yang bicaranya tadi bicara detail, ngikutin tinggal copy paste saja. Atau mau yang common practice yang memang digunakan di industri transportasi. That's it, nggak terlalu sulit gitu. Dan bicara tadi pemisahan memang betul. Jadi kalau untuk kategori mining, itu saran saya nanti di take out saja, karena nomor satu dia operate-nya adalah di area mining. Whatever area, bisa di Kalimantan, bisa di Papua, bisa di Sumatera, bisa di Sulawesi, yang dalam tanda kutip memang betul dia tidak operate di apa namanya di common road gitu ya, baik event di jalan tol, event jalan karena memang tidak diizinkan dan tidak ada konsekuensi hubungannya, relationnya dengan fuel consumption, dengan population, dengan eco green dan apapun. Karena mereka operasional adalah di tambang. Tapi yang kita fokus sebenarnya adalah memang yang kalau bicara kategori, itu ada kategori 1, kategori 2, kategori 3, dan kategori 4 tinggal dideklarkan kembali saja sesuai dengan kategori yang ada di Kementerian Perhubungan. karena di sana juga berbeda nanti ketika kita bicara kategori, itu ketika nyebrang di penyeberangan, itu kategorinya sampai 9, gitu. Dipanjangin lagi karena ini menyangkut tarif. Itu berbeda lagi, itu semuanya on road, tidak ada mining gitu. Jadi yang panjang tadi bicara kategori golongan 3, itu kalau di penyeberangan, ASDP itu kategorinya dibagi dari golongan 5 sampai dengan golongan 7. Karena berdasarkan panjangnya, karena kita tahu golongan 3 itu ada yang standar sasis, medium sasis, maupun long sasis. Nah, berdasarkan tadi dibeda-bedakan. Nah, itu juga tinggal common practice-nya kita mau pakai yang mana. Itu Mbak Evi. Jadi, better ya sudah kita ambil dari standarnya yang digunakan oleh Kemenhub tadi, dari yang small itu masuk kategori apa, kemudian yang 4 wheeler, truk kategori apa, 6 wheelers, tapi di bawah JBI 5 ton, itu juga kategorinya apa yang tadi CDD, kemudian di bawah JBI 11 ton, kemudian di bawah JBI 23 ton. Kalau golongan 3, itu ada JBI-nya adalah di bawah 23 ton. Begitu. Itu common practice mostly menguasai market yang ada di Indonesia. Yang kita kenal dengan yang panjang itu wing box, tronton, itu semuanya di area kategori golongan 3. Kemudian golongan 4 itu adalah yang kita gunakan untuk trailer, baik itu trailer yang sifatnya yang untuk 20 maupun untuk 40, hanya itu saja. Yang membedakan di posisi itu adalah horsepower karena menyangkut kategori. Ada dari mulai horsepower yang paling kecil itu 235, kemudian naik 260, naik 280, 285, kemudian 320, 360, sampai dengan horsepower mungkin sampai dengan 500. Itu bisa digunakan on road untuk membawa proyek-proyek kargo, misalnya seperti itu. Tapi yang commonnya adalah saat ini adalah di 320, 350 atau 360 horsepower yang saat ini common practice digunakan. Seperti itu. Itu untuk membawa kontainer yang 20 maupun kontainer 40 itu. Jadi ada bicara mengenai tadi yang gunakan standar atau apa menggunakan common practice. I think no issue dan no debat bahasanya. Tinggal kita ambilkan saja dan dimasukkan ke sana. Seperti itu Mbak Evi. Jadi tadi bicaranya karena bicara pabrikan dan bicara common practice begitu. Dan kalau untuk bicara fuel consumption itu bisa nanti melengkapi ya. Yang diuji ketika diuji yang di ATPM diambil adalah ketika MT. Nah, data di saya sudah melakukan pengujian Mbak Evi itu selama 7 tahun Mbak Evi. Fuel consumption berbagai tipe jenis truk itu ada dan itu menjadi bahan training saya baik di Asosiasi Logistik, di Supply Chain Indonesia, itu menjadi common dan banyak digunakan oleh orang berkenaan dengan standar daripada fuel consumption. Dari saya uji dari yang paling kecil tadi yang dengan 4 wheelers dengan JBI 5 ton di bawah ton sampai dengan yang posisi yang trailer. Itu saya uji usia 0 sampai dengan 3 tahun, kemudian atas 3 tahun dengan yang normal maupun dengan yang overload. Itu sudah saya lakukan pengujian selama 7 tahun dan data itu valid sampai dengan hari ini banyak digunakan orang. Seperti itu Mbak Evi. Itu yang saya sampaikan. Jadi menurut saya back to basic saja, kembalikan kalau mau memang by standar ya sudah ambil data yang daripada Dirjen Perhubungan Darat, masukkan selesai dari sisi konsepnya. Dan yang mining yang golongan 5 tadi di take out karena memang tidak ada relationship-nya dengan tamu. Tapi ada beberapa juga dump truck kategorinya yang saat ini digunakan on road, yaitu untuk mengangkat batu bara, Mbak Evi dan teman-teman semua ya. Jadi kalau rekan-rekan lihat baik yang ada di Cilegon itu commonly menggunakan dump truck yang sama equal dengan digunakan di mining golongan 5 itu juga digunakan untuk on road. Demikian juga yang dari Marunda itu untuk membawa coal batu bara untuk distribusi ke Bandung, ke Cirebon begitu ya. Itu juga menggunakan dump truck. Menurut saya itu juga dimasukkan. Ada beberapa memang yang masih sesuai dengan regulasi yang ada. Artinya itu masih mungkin untuk digunakan. Demikian Mbak Evi yang bisa saya sampaikan dan juga kepada semua all participant. Terima kasih.
Ya, terima kasih banyak Pak Sugi. Yes, that was a very long explanation, and that was very good input from Pak Sugi about the categories, the truck categories. So basically, I'll just summarize his explanation. So he suggested that we just follow the Ministry of Transport standards. So there's truck categories that have been regulated by the Ministry of Transport, the Directorate General of Road Transport. We can follow their categories. I'll check on that later on. And then, or the second one, either we can use the common practice on how trucks used on the road. That's another suggestion. And I saw in the chat room there are also some comments that yes, we just follow the regulations on the categories. And from Ibu Siti, yes, she also agrees that we just follow the vehicle categories from the Ministry of Transport. But of course, we need to check the detailed categories of the Ministry of Transport, and then we also need to have the data and like how the trucks in Indonesia are commonly used, probably based on the road categories, or probably, I don't know, the use. Because Pasuki also mentioned about dump trucks, that dump trucks are also used to transport coal or other commodities. So we need to also consider these categories. And he also suggested that we just take out the categories for mining. I mean, there's like trucks used for in the mining sector. So we just take that out because they didn't use on the road. That's it.
Yeah, and just to sort of highlight, so we're particularly interested in this one for category 3. So I think we realise that category 4 and 5 are kind of different. So for category 3, but I think if we do look into the Ministry of Transport regulations and this, especially the engine type, I think we may have some follow-on questions. But I think we'll look at the Ministry of Transport information in a bit more detail. Ian, I don't know if you had any comments.
No, not at this point.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you very much, because I think what Evie summarised was really useful as well. It's good, very good input. In terms of step 1, just recapping, so we're, as people probably gathered, we're aware that there's potential data for Camslindo and Trindo. From previous discussions, there seem to be opportunities for surveys of fleet companies and operators. We're aware that potential future data sources that are obtained through POMO reporting, and also information that may be obtained through the IEA manifest and the logbook information. One thing, and this is really a question for Guy Kindo, one kind of potential data source that was flagged previously is around electronic control unit data, which could come from the manufacturers. And so this is really a question for Guy Kindo, which is whether or not it would be appropriate and whether or not there would be opportunity in relation. And again, really want to highlight that it's aggregated data we're interested in. We're not interested in individual trucks. We're really interested in the aggregated data and anonymized electronic control unit data from the manufacturers. So I don't know if there's an opportunity for Guy Kindo to come in and talk about that potentially.
Sorry, Alison, may I have question before regarding the issue data, something like that? My question is, what the target from fuel economy regulation, your output, this is for the new vehicle. It means new production.
It would be. I think it's as I understand it, the ECU data would be available for trucks up to 5 years old. And again, in step 2, we're interested in data from new vehicles. But for step 1, we're interested in data like for vehicles that are currently in use. So it could be vehicles that are 3 years old, 4 years old, 5-year-olds. But it's whether or not they have the ECU unit on the truck.
Yeah. Because for your information, yeah, in Indonesia we have some unique, yeah, some unique production for truck, yeah. In our vehicle manufacturer, we only sell the chassis, yeah, truck chassis, and then the buyer can modify the chassis to become bus, become dump truck, become box, etc. Yeah. So I'm not quite sure, yeah. Even it's same class, yeah. Even it's same class, like Pak Suki information, yeah. For more 24 ton, something like that, yeah. This is can become several model. They can become bus and then become the truck with the normal chassis, medium chassis, and long chassis, something like apa? Long chassis.
Pak, excuse me, Pak Rohim, but
Hmm.
all that type is locked by Kemenlu, Pak WJBI, Pak. Jumlah beban diizinkan. Whatever
Yeah,
type, already locked, Pak. There is information, Pak. Whatever kind, if truck is locked by JBI, Pak. Thank you,
Bukan
Pak.
maksud saya begini, Pak. Sorry in bahasa. Maksud saya
Ya.
ini outputnya apa sih nanti ke depannya fuel
Oh
economy
iya, kalau
ini?
outputnya itu. Tapi kalau untuk pembatasan yang Bapak tanyakan tadi, dia mau medium sasis misalnya tronton gitu ya Pak ya, 260 atau 280 gitu.
Ya,
Mau jadi apapun sama Kemenhub udah di-lock Pak. JB-nya 22 ton, 23 ton Pak. Mau dia bak terbuka, mau tangki, mau box, mau whatever lah Pak, udah di-lock oleh mereka Pak. Karena mereka hanya mengacunya adalah 1.22 atau
Oke, sembunyi kan
1.2. Itu
ya.
di-lock Pak.
Ya. Enggak, maksud saya cuman gini Pak, nanti ketika ini regulasi ini gitu kan, ini mau diimplementasikan kemana sih gitu loh
Nah, yes.
nantinya.
Nah, kalau regulasi tinggal tanyakan Pak. Tapi
Nah,
kalau
ya itu
untuk
maksud saya
itu,
ngasih background dulu Pak, itu Pak
ya,
sebenarnya.
oke.
Jadi itu
Silakan
kan
dilanjut
banyak.
Pak. Silakan Pak kalau itu Pak. Oke, ya Pak.
Ya.
Thank you Pak.
Yeah, so my question is, what the output from this study? Yeah, okay, for economy fleet. Yeah, as your previous presentation in the US, something like that. Yeah, to whom the incentive will give in? Yeah, yeah. For example, your material that they mentioned, they have some advantage. Yeah. Or how many dollars, something like that. The question, yeah, because look like different from our manufacturer. We only sell the chassis, and then the another bodybuilder and also buyer, they will be make some modification, yeah, like become truck. Even Pak Sugi said they have some regulation in our government, yeah, but the type of the vehicles itself also become changed, yeah, for the previous one, yeah, as the manufacturer shell as the initial chassis, something like that.
Pak Abdul, as I understand it, you're saying that you sell a component for the truck, which has ECU, and the ECU data could be used. However, your concern is that because the configuration of the truck, is outside your knowledge. See, once you sell the chassis, you don't know what happens.
That's right.
That actually, that information could be less useful, and we'd have to follow up with either the truck. But I suppose there's maybe a separate conversation with Apchindo Canslindo about if their operators were happy to share some information, and then we could access the ECU information for yourselves, that there could be this kind of, I suppose, matching up that could go on. So there would be one data set, which is the ECU data set for the chassis, which is the information, and there would be like a separate data set where we would compare, the chassis, the ECU, the original kind of I don't know, vehicle number, vehicle type, and match it up with some other data sources. I mean, for me, that could be one way around it. I mean, I think this is a conversation, but I do get your point. You're saying, well, we do have this information, but because of the configurations, and I suppose I'm saying back to Apchindo and Canslindo, there could be the opportunity again. It would involve the fleet operators being happiness, and it would be anonymised and it would be aggregate, but there would be this opportunity to sort of maybe match up some of this data. Ian, I don't know if you want to come in.
No, other than to agree with you, I take the point completely, and yes, it's as I said before, if we have information, we can help build a picture, and the more information we have, the better. And but I agree completely, we need to understand the context of that information. So if we can help, or in some way, as Alison suggested, map information to get that better context, then that would be good.
Moving on now, and thanks everyone for because I think this is what we were kind of both hoping for, that there would be a discussion, and I think we realised that there would be some things we follow up with, that we will go around and come back. But it's been really interesting, and I think it's been really important, like some of the themes that have emerged. So for step 2, as we've mentioned, we're really interested in gathering as much information as possible on the tested fuel economy / CO2 emissions of new vehicles. So these are some of the points that we've been talking about so far. So we're looking at, particularly interested in what's the outcomes when these vehicles are tested in labs, in live simulation vehicles. And then we're also keen to map these vehicle categories against those vehicles that we've just discussed in step 1. And this includes understanding in the differences between real world emissions, including, as discussed, where possible, overloading, and what the kind of tested emissions are saying. And what are the outcomes really to identify fuel economy CO2 emissions of new trucks in an aggregate way in Indonesia? And we've said 2022 here, but it's just really we really want to understand across categories for 1 year. And then the rationale for that is really, when setting a standard, you're setting a standard on new vehicles. So you need to understand what the fuel economy of the new vehicles are. And therefore that understanding reflects where to set the baseline and in turn determine the appropriate standards. And Ian, again, I'm very happy for you to come in to sort of make things clearer or to highlight anything I've missed.
Yes, I think the point I'd like to make is really that we're still in the stage of understanding the information that's out there that is available in Indonesia. So we appreciate that whatever we receive from you will be maybe not necessarily complete, or we'll have to understand the context, etc. But yeah, just basically whatever we receive, we will use in an aggregated way to help us understand better the current situation and to help better inform the development of fuel economy standards for trucks in Indonesia. So the information doesn't have to be complete, and we appreciate it'll probably be partial, but we're trying to get as good a picture as we can, basically. So yeah, anything you can provide would be helpful.
I think that ties in well with our next slide. Well, we do say it's ideal data requirements and rationale. And Guy Kindo, I think I flagged via Evie, any questions you have, please do ask them. So I think we've tried to frame it to address some previous questions, but if we've missed that or if we haven't gone into enough detail, please do come back. Oh, and we've already got one hand up. So Pack City, if you'd like to come in. Ibu City.
Okay, thank you, Alison, and all participants. This is Nisa speaking from Gaikindo. I just want to have a question regarding your previous slide. One slide previous, please. Regarding, yes, correct. Regarding the aim, you mentioned about the gathering as much information as possible on the tested fuel economy and CO2 emission, blah, 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 of new truck. So we just want to confirm, especially for the fuel economy and CO2 emissions, refer to the current regulation, UN regulation especially, as we know that for the fuel economy and CO2 emission tested only for the passenger car and for the N1 category, which is the vehicle with the below 3.5 ton standard. So in our understanding, if we want to test the fuel economy or CO2 emission refer to the UN regulation, we can only get the data about the passenger car and the commercial vehicle, especially for the below 3.5 tons. So if you won't have the data of the fuel economy or CO2 emission for the vehicle above 3.5 tons, I don't know, maybe from other Gaikindo members can help me to give this information. I think there is no data about the fuel economy and CO2 emission for the vehicle above 3.5 tons, especially for the new vehicles that coming from the manufacturer, because there is no standard testing requirement that we can refer. So far, we only refer in the UNR 1.101 regarding the fuel economy and CO2 test emission. I think that's all my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibunisi. I think we will come back, so we've got these questions, and then I think we looped around from a slightly different angle. So I don't know if we want to just briefly highlight why this information is important, and then maybe talk a bit more about our other understanding. So I think it's not that we preempted that answer, but I think when we did these slides, we kind of, actually the aim of step 2, and this is why these things are important, and this is I suppose our current understanding. So I don't know if anyone from Gaikindo wants to come into Ibunisi's point. Ian, I don't know if you want to come in, or if we just carry on and we talk a bit more about, why, because I think we also have had a kind of discussion about Gaikindo maybe going to some of the manufacturers and asking for their, non-Indonesian test data. But Ian, I don't know if you want to come in.
Yes, I think, yes, I mean, we appreciate that it's a lot easier to test CO2 and fuel economy of cars and light commercial vehicles less than 3.5 tons, and that trucks is a lot more challenging. I think one of the aims of step 2 is really to identify if it is possible to get more information in some way. I mean, for example, if trucks are imported from another, from manufacturers in other countries, would they have information on the CO2 emissions of trucks? Or, I mean, I appreciate that also there's a lot of, the chassis is then in Indonesia when it's sold, it's configured to the needs of the user, and we appreciate all that. But I think it's, at this point, we just want to explore. I mean, if there isn't any data, then that's okay. That's okay. That's information. If it is possible to get some, as was suggested early on, possibly that trucks could be tested, that might be a way forward. So basically, at this point, we're just exploring. So I think, thank you for that input. And I think maybe, yes, if we go through the rest of the slides, Alison, and then that maybe provide the further context for what we're looking for.
So I sort of flag these are, I suppose, our ideal data requirements and rationale for step 2. And I think where the rationale should hopefully be clearer, we haven't put a rationale, which is why fuel economy, fuel type, and vehicle weight is separate. But really, we're interested in both make, model, and numbers of new vehicles sold in the Indonesian market. And this is basically the more detail they have, the more accurate we can be. And so, for example, data on the make and model helps better understand the split across the gross vehicle weight range. It helps us map new trucks to existing vehicles. And I think the first point really highlights against, it provides much more information. We can have a much richer understanding of, what make and models contribute what in terms of emissions. That said, and I think this is why it's worth, we talk about detailed data, but the outputs are very aggregate. So, and we come back to this in the last slide, any information that will be provided to us in terms of outputs would be aggregate and anonymized. So I think, as I understand it from previous conversations, there's this concern around, making model data and manufacturers, and that would not be the kind of outcome. It would be treated in such a way that, individual level data wouldn't be able to be discerned. And related to this, and again, I think this ties into sort of a kind of, what's being done and why it's being done. But in terms of the testing and measurement method, information on any test procedures, including what is tested. And I think, again, this reflects, is it the chassis that's being tested? Is it the whole vehicle being tested? Is it just our simulation models being used? That would really help us improve understanding on any impacts this have on reported fuel economy. Even understanding that there are data gaps or these bits aren't being tested is important to know. And it also, as I mentioned in the previous slides, we talked a bit about step 5 and the monitoring and evaluation. And really understanding what currently is being tested and what isn't being tested really will help us understand the development of testing procedures going forward. So with that, just sort of coming back with some questions for you to sort of suppose maybe frame a discussion. We understand that fuel economy CO2 emissions are measured under ECE R49 for heavy duty engines. Would someone from Gaikindo be able to come in and confirm that is the case?
Andi nggak ada yang jawab, Pak?
ECE 49, this is only for the emission for pollutant ya?
Iya,
Nggak,
Pak,
bisa
kayaknya
juga.
kayaknya
CO2 juga bisa
ditanyain,
diukur, Pak.
ya kayaknya kan kalau R49 kan engine ya, Pak. Nah, ini
Iya.
ada nggak simulasi yang sudah dibebani gitu, Pak, yang sudah dalam
Ah.
keadaan kendaraan utuh gitu, Pak?
Enggak, beda
Nggak
ngukurnya.
ada.
Kalau
Nggak
49 itu dia pakai full load, pakai seperempat load, pakai seperempat. Memang ada regulasinya. Gitu.
Sorry Pak Rohin.
Enggak, ini di type approval. Sorry, Alex, we discuss in Indonesia. Di uji tipe gimana? CO2 kan nggak diwajibkan kan?
Enggak
Dimension.
Pak, nggak diwajibkan dan nggak diwajibkan untuk dimension ya.
Ya.
101 kan cuman untuk M kategori sama N1, Pak Rohim.
Ya, beda.
Itu 83
Kalau
ya.
3,5 ton.
pakai sasi dyno. Kalau ini kan pakai engine test pen ya. Beda. Oke, nah itu.
Ini hanya polutannya aja Pak Rohim, bukan
Ya,
fuel consumption atau CO2.
ada CO2-nya kan bisa dihitung. Ya udah. Ya wes kita wakili jawab ya kalau gitu ya. Okay, yes, the correct, yeah. If we know in ECE R49, yeah, this is the mention in Indonesia, we utilize this standard regulation ECE 49 to measure the emission, yeah. Even we also know during the conduct emission test, we also can measure CO2, but in Indonesia, in type of approval from land transport, not have a requirement to state for CO2. Yeah, only CO, HC plus NOx, and also particulate matter, something like that. Yeah, for diesel engine. And Indonesia, I think, for the truck or heavy duty, we not have clearly what the kind of the method for measure for fuel economy CO2. Yeah, because currently, as our information before, government only give some incentive for passenger, M1 category, below 3.5, and then of course the important thing, we should make some consensus, what the kind of the standard will be used for measure the fuel economy, kilometer per liter, something like that. It means we can conduct by actual condition for the truck itself. As Aprindo mentioned, they also have a data regarding the on gross vehicle weight and also overload, something like that. But this is also the we should have some same understanding, because I believe for fuel consumption is many factor, not only from driver but also the road condition, downhill, high hill, and also the traffic condition, and also load. This is the many parameter, if we measure directly to truck itself, So before we want to make measure, we should clearly what the standard, what the requirement to measure fuel economy itself. I think that's all my comment.
Thank you. Ian, I don't know if you had any comments on that.
No, no, I haven't. I mean, only to say that again, just appreciate that we understand that many factors, influence the real world fuel economy and real world emissions. I think again, the point is to sort of try and separate the typical truck emissions from what, because you actually, any regulation would actually regulate the truck as measured according to an agreed procedure, and not sort of take account of what actually happens on the road, because that would be too complex in the regulation. But as I said before, the information about actual real world emissions and actual fuel economy should then be monitored and then fed back into any review of the legislation, of the regulation. So but no, thank you. I agree that if any emissions of trucks are going to be measured, then it needs to be clear exactly how they're measured, what you're measuring, and so that it is a consistent test. And I agree with that completely.
And I think it's worth saying the simulation can be done for taking into account in-country conditions. Is that right? Isn't it?
I
think there's a difference between the real world on the ground emissions and making sure that any testing procedure, even though it's a testing procedure, takes into account as much as possible in terms of temperature, driving profiles, etc., of the country that it's undertaken in. So I think that's two separate points. But I think we appreciate that you were saying that there's this kind of some complexities. But related to that, and this is kind of a follow-on thing of like, how would we develop, how would we ensure that the testing procedure going forward was as kind of match as possible? And it's really, do you understand if there's any more broader, for example, for the Japanese market, is any testing that has been gone on because they've got fuel economy standards that could relate to the big salvage? And again, I think this might be a follow-on, sort of more technical question, more technical follow-on with Gaikindo. And it might be that Gaikindo, again, if you have a separate conversation, then could follow up with maybe some of the manufacturers about what data they do have. And then again, I suppose this is kind of a broader question at this stage. but we've understood historically that there have been some concerns about the level of detail of the data. Do you think at an aggregate level that the data sharing could happen? Pak Abdul, I think I'm picking on you because I see your name on the screen, but I don't know if you or someone more broadly would like to come in here.
Yeah, I think we should discuss internally, Gaikindo, yeah, because too many brand, yeah, yeah. I believe, yeah, this is maybe we need to discuss, yeah, because yeah, some brand maybe can allow, but another maybe no. So yeah, maybe my suggestion, yeah, if we not have some conclusion about this sharing data, yeah. So the better you can measure by actual one, yeah, by utilize, yeah. But the method of measurement for fuel economic, this is should be consensus itself, yeah, from all stakeholders, something like that, yeah. That's maybe my comment, yeah.
Ian, I don't know if you want to come in with any comments.
No, I completely understand that. Yes, no, I haven't. No.
Brilliant, thank you. And I think as I go, I mean, I think it's worked out quite nicely that we've had, opportunities for discussion throughout. But again, if anyone has something they want to raise and they haven't had a chance to raise, please do come in now. And that's what I think we've sort of, if it's easy in Bahasa, please do speak in Bahasa and we can have every translating, because I think we're realizing it's quite a technical conversation and some things are much easier. Okay, Dee, if you'd like to come in.
Okay, just would like to maybe very basic opinion, yeah, regarding this fuel efficiency, fuel economy study. In terms of fuel consumption or CO2 matters, I think related to transportation is, as referred to Pak Rohim explanation before, it's not only depend on the vehicles actually, yeah. It's depend on the road, it's depend on traffic, it's depend on the driver and many factors, yeah. Just curious, is there any study to reduce fuel consumption, to reduce CO2? Which one the biggest factor between to reduce such fuel economy and the CO2? Whether the vehicle is the number one percentage, how about the traffic, how about the driver, and etc. Yeah, just curious. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you are right that there's a number of factors that are taken into consideration with fuels in a truck. So high quality roads will be important in terms of reducing fuel use as well as reducing particulate emissions. Eco driver training as incentive, as an information can play, reduce emissions between 5 and 10%. These all have a role to play. I suppose what I would say is that regulation on automotive factories sends a clear message to manufacturers and is a kind of key pillar, it's a key action, it's a kind of marker, and the data shows that it works. And so I will hand over to him now, because he has been involved in regulations for over 20 years, maybe even 30 years. Can I say this, Ian?
20.
So I think I'll hand over to you, because you'll understand, because there's always, I think, this kind of multi-layered conversation. You're very right. Many things are important, but regulation is a kind of key pillar for many reasons, and I will hand over to you.
Yes, I mean, yeah, thank you for your question. I mean, it is an important point and it has been looked at in various studies. I mean, there is an IEA study from 2017 which looks at where the potential for reducing CO2 emissions and energy use from trucks is, where there is most potential. And it looked at activity, it looked at loading, and looked at efficiency. So clearly activity is all about the driving and the road conditions. Loading is, what the vehicle carries, and making sure it's packed, carries the appropriate load. And the efficiency is where your vehicle, measures on the vehicle. And it concluded that measures on the vehicle were where most potential for reducing emissions were. And then if you look at it sort of more broadly, if you look at, I mean, Alison had a slide early on which linked to passenger cars, but I mean that demonstrates that where you've brought in regulation, fuel economy standards to improve the fuel economy of a particular fleet. The fuel economy of that fleet improves at a faster rate than though in those fleets, those countries without a fuel economy regulation. And two, that brings a lots of benefits. So it brings benefits in terms of less need for energy. It brings benefits in terms of savings for consumers. So in a way, I mean, I take your point, but regulating fuel economy of vehicles is an important factor in terms of reducing CO2 emissions and energy use in the transport sector. These other areas are also important, but they tend to deliver less in terms of total CO2 emissions. But again, I think this comes back to one of the points Alison was making, and that the package, a package of measures is basically what's needed. So fuel economy standards has a lot of potential, but then these other areas also have a role to play. But in terms of the vehicle efficiency, there are a lot of potential improvements on trucks, and particularly then when you start using different powertrains, so moving to say maybe electrify more aspects of trucks, your emissions in particular will decrease a lot.
And it's interesting because we talk, there's this hesitancy about this, but actually the payback for the consumers, the payback for the fleet operators. I mean, again, Ian, you've had maybe more frontline experience. I think sometimes there's a hesitancy from manufacturers because they're concerned over the costs. But I think the evidence-based shows that the costs aren't what people think in terms of development of the new technologies. I don't know if you want to come in there, because I think some of this.
Yes, that is often the case. I mean, if you look at a lot of studies that have been done around the world that look at, say, the costs, the estimates of how much a regulation might increase vehicle costs before the regulation was introduced, and these are emissions-based regulations. And then you look at the actual cost in terms of how much the vehicle price increased. They're always less than you expect. And also therefore the consumer benefits more quickly, and also the fleet owners benefit more quickly in terms of reduced fuel use. So the evidence suggests that they are an effective tool for reducing CO2 and energy from a particular fleet.
I don't know if anyone else wanted to come in with any comments or any feedback on that, or any sort of further questions. Yeah.
Alison, I've just noticed a comment about best practice of fuel economy policy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we looked at this in the previous work we've done. I was wondering whether there's any way of sharing that, maybe.
I think we could share that, and then also, maybe as a follow-up, as a kind of, I think we can share what we have, and I think we can also have a follow-up conversation.
Yeah.
If there's no, but please do come in. Don't be shy. Please do come in. And if not, we'll go to next steps. I think we'll do a summary of the meeting. I think that's the first next step. And then please do, and then within the summary, there may be questions on yourselves. There may be technical checks and clarifications. So please do come back if anything's like not clear, we haven't captured anything properly. So I think that's a first next step, a clear summary of the meeting. And then the second one, I think there's like several points where we want to follow up. I think there's this maybe an ongoing conversation. I think I could see in the chat there was this ongoing conversation about the categories. So I think for us, when we do the summary of the meeting, there may be some further, this is our understanding, these are our proposed next steps, and give people an opportunity to follow that up. Ian, I don't know if you think that's kind of sensible or not, the categories that we have.
Oh, yes, I think, yeah, no, I agree, yeah.
So I think we might have a high level summary and then maybe a follow-up kind of question summary. And then, and then I think there's a separate conversation for us to have with Apchindo Cancelindo Gaikindo on this use of ECU data and the plausibility of doing this matching up. And then I think for step 2, there's lots of separate conversations, but there's another conversation to be had around actually if we were to get this data from manufacturers with Gaikindo, what does Gaikindo need to know? Would we with Gaikindo reach out to the manufacturers separately? Do we need a parallel conversation, which we've started, I think, Ian, around, what a simulation tool for Indonesia could look like, what data would be needed, what the testing procedures. I'm going into technical detail now. But I think basically, if I was going to sum up, I'd say a big thank you to everyone, because I think we've had a really important and super interesting discussion. And to say that I think, as well as answering some questions, it's raised other questions, and I think we'll summarise that as best as possible and then come back individually where we've got these kind of iterative procedures going on. And Ian, I don't know if you
Yeah, no, just to reinforce what you've said, it's been a very interesting discussion. So thank you for everyone who's attended and contributed and listened. And yes, we look forward to continuing it.
So, is there any, Bapak Ibu, ada yang masih mau ditanyakan kembali dari paparan Pak Ian dan Bu Alison? Rekan-rekan dari Kementerian Perhubungan.
Dari saya cukup, Mas Cahyo, terima kasih.
Ya, mohon maaf saya, Katro, Pak, saya sedang menggunakan laptopnya Pak Cahyo. Saya sedang berpindah tempat ini. Rekan-rekan yang lain? Aptrindo, dari Gaikindo, dari Kementerian Perhubungan, Bu Dana. Bu Evi.
maybe we can't hear you.
Baik, kalau sudah tidak ada lagi, mungkin kita next step-nya tadi sudah menjadi catatan buat kita semua. Updating akan dari hasil diskusi hari ini. Mohon maaf, tadi kami harus bergeser rapat di tempat lain, karena pada saat yang bersamaan saya harus bersama dengan pimpinan untuk membahas kegiatan motor konversi motor listrik. Jadi izinkan kami, mohon perkenan Bapak Ibu, semua yang hadir di sini, kita bisa akan, I'm speaking bahasa, Pak Ian, Bu Alison, and colleagues from IEA. Kita akan menindaklanjuti hal-hal yang tadi sudah kita bahas, dan terkait dengan data-data, tadi sudah kami lihat dari chat, cukup banyak hasil diskusi, dan terima kasih atas perkenannya Pak Lukman, Pak Abdul Rohim, Bu Siti, dan termasuk juga Bu Destriani ya. Dan kita harapkan semua informasi yang terkait dengan fuel economy standard bisa kita selesaikan. Kementerian SDM tentu tidak bisa lepas dari kontribusi Bapak Ibu semua yang ada di sini. Dan lebih kurang kami mohon maaf apabila ada yang kurang, kami cukupkan dengan membaca hamdalah, alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Kami ucapkan terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for all.
Makasih Pak Katro. Pak Katro mungkin truk listrik Pak Katro perlu dibahas. Truk listrik.
Greetings everyone.
Ya,
Everyone.
terima kasih Pak Katro, Bu Evi, terima kasih.
Electric for trucks,
Oke.
Pak Man.
Electric for truck Pak, bener Pak. Karena truk itu kan penyumbang polutan terbesar ya Pak Katro ya.
Mungkin setelah motor two wheelersnya selesai, Pak Lukman.
Gitu ya, siap.
Probably.
Iya,
So,
iya.
Alison and Pak Ian, Pak Lukman just asking us about to convert trucks for electric vehicle.
Electric truck ya. I'm sure there's still a lot of challenges Pak Katro for electric truck, but for urban logistic, for city logistic, especially for smaller truck, I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Because
I think this is, but fuel economy standards can play a role in that as well. So it's not the correct fuel economy standards can also incentivize electric trucks. But we're going to have to leave because we have colleagues waiting outside the room.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. Thank you.
Alison.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.